Ora sì. Siamo molto felici di avere Cyril Neyrat oggi qui con noi. Poi lascio Eric la presentazione, anche perché per noi è importante dialogare con una persona che lavora ogni giorno sui cortometraggi e su anche lungometraggi, però soprattutto lavora e ha il punto di vista di chi guarda quello che l'autore fa, e secondo me lo scambio tra l'autore e il direttore artistico, il selezionatore è importante, anche perché noi facciamo un lavoro, però vogliamo che anche questo lavoro arrivi fino in fondo, quindi oggi parleremo con te di questo e siamo molto felici. Lascio la parola grazie a te, a Eric.
Sì, grazie Emanuele, grazie al Centro Sperimentale di Cinematografia, Ivan Cinardo, Costanza Quattridio, Piero Lidonni, Andrea Buscaino che ci accolgono oggi per questo workshop di Cyril Neyrat. Due brevissime parole sul contesto, sul perché Cyril è qui con noi oggi. Lo sapete, penso, c'è da 2 giorni da questa parte al Cinema de Seta una tappa palermitana del FIDMarseille, che è un festival di cinema, festival internazionale di cinema di Marsiglia, che si svolge a Marsiglia ogni anno da più di 30 anni, 35 anni, e di cui Cyril è da qualche mese l'unico direttore artistico. Dico l'unico perché c'è stato un direttore storico per più di 20 anni, Jean-Pierre Rem, che poi ha lasciato, è andato via, e quindi ha lasciato la direzione un po' condivisa a qualche persona, tra cui Cyril, e ora da dicembre Cyril è l'unico direttore artistico di questi importanti...
I kill them all.
Come?
I kill them all.
Ah, sì? Tutti e tre. E quindi abbiamo voluto portare questa, cioè una versione molto concentrata ovviamente del festival. Il festival propone un centinaio di titoli ogni anno, noi ne presentiamo solo 6, modestamente 6. È cominciato 2 giorni fa con lo straordinario film di Paul Vecchiali, Once More, perché c'era nell'edizione passata del FID un omaggio a questo grande regista francese, Paul Vecchiali, che è morto un po' più di un anno fa. Ieri abbiamo presentato 2 film che sono stati premiati nell'ultima edizione del FID. Stasera vi invito a venire a vedere il bellissimo film di Clément Roussier e Adrien Mossat, Dans le silence et dans le bruit. Anche questo film ha ottenuto il premio della competizione francese, mi pare, nell'ultima edizione. E tra l'altro ci saranno i 2 registi, Clément Roussier e Adrien Mossat, che saranno presenti in sala e che dialogheranno con il pubblico. A questo proposito c'è un fuori programma sempre con Clément Roussier e Adrien Mossat domani mattina, per chi vorrebbe approfondire il dialogo con i 2 registi, domani mattina dalle 11 alle 13 circa, nei spazi dell'associazione Zabarà e dell'associazione La Bandita in via del Celso, ex Galleria delle Nuvole. Ci sarà un incontro tra il regista Alessio Genovese, Adrien Mossat, Clément Roussier e forse Cyril anche, penso, probabilmente, quindi domani alle 11. E poi domani concluderemo, domani pomeriggio, domani sera, con altri 2 film, Sofia Foi di Pedro Geraldo, film brasiliano, e alle 20:30, uno dei momenti più forse attesi di questa tappa del festival, lo dico in inglese, il titolo internazionale, Losing Faith, non sono incapace, forse Bianca Bozzedo lo potrebbe dire in tedesco, il titolo originale del film di Martha Michaud, un bellissimo film, che non è stato premiato al festival ma che ha lasciato il segno, e la regista Martha Michaud sarà in sala anche lei per presentare il film, quindi altre occasioni, opportunità di dialogare con i protagonisti del FID. È un po' una tradizione per l'Istituto francese, parentesi, mi dimentico sempre, è un festival che organizziamo in quanto Culture Ensemble Palermo, ovvero il matrimonio tra il Goethe Institute di Palermo, qui ci saluto Bianca Bozzeda, che è la referente per Culture Ensemble, il matrimonio tra il Goethe Institute e l'Institut Français di Palermo. Abbiamo, forse lo sapete, un programma culturale, un programma di residenze artistiche molto, molto ricco, molto denso tutto l'anno insieme al Goethe Institute, e questa iniziativa è la prima del 2024 che proponiamo insieme, ce ne saranno altre. Ci sono altre collaborazioni ovviamente importanti nel festival, come il Sicilia Queer su Titles o appunto Centro Sperimentale di Cinematografia. Chiusa la parentesi dovuta, solo per dire che è una tradizione per l'istituto, ogni volta che c'è un festival, una manifestazione, che abbiamo un regista a Palermo, portarlo qui e farvelo incontrare, farlo dialogare con gli studenti. Enrico ricordava poco fa che un anno fa, in occasione del Festival Rendezvous, c'era Clément Cogitori, il regista, che è venuto qui a fare un workshop. In questo caso non è un regista, o forse ancora no, non lo so, no? Ma è particolarmente interessante avere intanto un critico cinematografico, critico che ha scritto per una rivista francese importante, poco conosciuta qui, che si chiama Vertigo, e un'altra rivista molto conosciuta all'estero che si chiama I Cahiers du Cinéma, e come tutti i critici dei Cahiers du Cinéma chiaramente si inserisce, volendo o nolendo, in una tradizione importante, una tradizione per la quale il cinema è uno strumento di pensiero, e il cinema si deve prolungare con la scrittura, sin dagli inizi, dagli anni 50 fino ad oggi. La cosa interessante con Cyril è che, oltre ad essere un critico e un bravissimo critico, che scrive delle recensioni, chiamiamole recensioni, che scrive libri sul cinema e su dei registi che sono molto nello spirito del FID di Marsiglia. Penso a un regista francese importante, molto singolare, come Pierre Creton, o a registi più conosciuti da questa parte come Pedro Costa o come Albert Serra. La cosa interessante nel caso di Cyril è che anche insegnante all'università a Parigi, ha insegnato poi a Ginevra, alla Head di Ginevra, e appunto concretizza tutte queste conoscenze non passando alla regia, anche se non lo so, un giorno, ma essendo direttore di un festival, cioè passando all'atto, traducendo un po' il suo pensiero sul cinema attraverso delle scelte, attraverso una direzione artistica e delle scelte molto, molto forti, che ora vi spiegherà. Il workshop che avrete oggi con lui sarà in un primo momento dedicato, ma poi ti lascio dirlo, ma dedicato un po' al FID, al festival, a cos'è il FID, a cos'è un festival, alle scelte che sono fatte quando si costruisce un festival di questo genere, e poi attraverso dei brani di film un po' spiegherà il tipo di scelte di cinema che difendono a Marsiglia e che difende Cyril Neyrat. Il workshop io ho parlato in italiano, ma il workshop si svolgerà in inglese, era stato annunciato, e ora cedo la parola a Cyril Neyrat, che ringrazio ancora una volta per aver accettato questo nostro invito. È una cosa molto gradita sia da parte del Goethe che da parte nostra di portare questo festival a Palermo. Grazie.
Thank you so much, Eric, for everything you said. Amazing introduction. What can I say after that? No, thanks. It's a real pleasure to be here. Thanks to you. Thanks to the Goethe too. As I told you, I feel an amazing energy in this place. Not only the school, but the institute, the cantieri in Genere. It's very warm and alive, and it's not the same everywhere, I can tell you. So I'm very, very happy to be here and to try to bring and to share with you the work we do in Marseille. So as Eric told you, I will start with a brief introduction and presentation of FIDMarseille. English is okay for all of you? I think my English is poor enough to be easy for everyone. And then, to explain a bit what what are the goals and the missions of the festival and the way we work. But then most of the day we'll watch films together, short films, selection of short selection of films from the 2 or 3 past editions of the festival, which I feel are representative of the type of very innovative and new film writings that we are looking for, and that could interest you as people who work in the field of documentary, but who, I imagine, try to find new ways to write and direct and produce documentary films too. And so it's absolutely not comment on dit, un cours magistral that I'm going to do. The idea is to dialogue together. Of course, I will analyze a bit the films when we've seen them. But the mic is open to all of you, and I hope I'm very interested, of course, in your feedback and in hearing what you see in these films and the questions you may have. We're going to see, it depends on how the dialogue develops, but between, I don't know, 5 or 7 films during the day. So first, FIDMarseille, as Eric told you, the festival was born 35 years ago as a very classical documentary festival. Like a bit like Cinéma du Réel in France, in Paris, maybe you know. And then, yes, someone which was very, very important in the evolution of festivals in the last 20 years took the direction of the festival, Jean-Pierre Rem, maybe you know him, he's a critic too. And he did he made 2 decisions of opening the field of the films we showed. The first decision was to open the selections and the festival to visual arts, to films coming from the field of contemporary arts, films made by artists who use cinema as a tool to make movies in a tradition, in an aesthetic tradition, which is not the tradition of cinema, but that of modern and contemporary art. You know, in the late 90s, early 21st century, there were many artists in France, and mainly in France, but also in Germany, different countries, who started to make films at the crossing of the tradition of cinema and tradition of visual arts, of contemporary art. And so FIDMarseille was the first festival to open itself to this movements and to these films coming from outside of the production field of cinema, and to mix them with the cinema films in the same competitions, in the same for the same audience. That was about 20 years ago, I would say. And then maybe 12, 13 years ago, the decision was to open the festival. It was the second big step to fiction films, to break the boundary between documentary and fiction, to refuse to label the films, and that is not to have a fiction section and a documentary section, but to have in all section, like international competition, national competition, to mix, to have fiction films and documentary films, dialogue with each other, and facing the same audience. It was a clear decision, a clear statement that cinema is a whole, in a way, is one, but it's very diverse. And what's important is the diversity of the film writings, which range from the pure fiction to pure documentary and everything which is in the middle, but not the classification and the labeling of films. Because the labeling and the classification, as we know, is often comes from the production ways, comes from production. And what was very interesting in the beginning of the 21st century, especially with the development of new light tools and not expensive tools to make films, there was a huge development of small productions, productions in autonomy by filmmakers, which didn't have to respect this documentary production or fiction production, and who could invent their way of producing films, and thus film writings which were not in the middle, but which invented their own language and their own way of doing, free from these industrial traditions of documentary or fiction. And this, so this territory, which means in FIDMarseille, it's the territory we investigate and we try to defend in priority. This, so usually we show films which are not big productions, which are made with small money in a very independent and autonomous way. And we really believe in the idea that the way the films are produced determines the writing and the aesthetics of the film. And it doesn't mean that we don't show films, rich films. I mean, if they're innovative and inventive. But we try to have a special attention to this very independent cinema, which without festivals like us, we're not the only one, of course, wouldn't go to the audience, wouldn't get to the audience, and wouldn't, because of course these films, they quite rarely find the commercial distribution. So our idea is to defend this cinema, and why we are here also in Palermo is because if we only defend this cinema once a week, a year during the festival, we feel it's not enough, and so we feel we have to try to promote and defend and show and share these films all year long in France and everywhere where we can find good partners like you. How is the festival? If you have questions, don't hesitate. So the festival we show, yes, the festival takes place early July for 1 week every year. We used to show like maybe 300 films a few years ago, and we decided to reduce it to 100 films, 120, which is a big reduction. And it's not because of, it's partly because of budget and financial reasons, but only partly. But it's not some. But it's also a decision to show less films, to make clearer choices, stronger choices, and to defend them better. In a way. I don't know if you've been to these huge festivals where you have like 10 sections, 3,000 films, 10 venues. You just lost. You see films randomly. FID used to be like that, and we decided to make a clear, program with a few competitions, a few retrospectives, but something which enables the audience to draw a clear path and a very conscious path through the festival. So we have one international competition. One thing I have to say before, one of the most important characteristics of the festival is the rule we gave ourselves and the constraint we gave ourselves to in competition to show films only with the status of world premiere or international premiere. I don't know if you know what it means. World premiere, it means that it's the first public screening of the film ever. And international premiere, it means that the first public screening of the film outside of its production country. So if we show a Spanish film which has been shown in Malaga, only in Malaga or in Malaga and Madrid, it is an international premiere. There are festivals who don't care about this logic of premieres, who just show films they like, they see in other festivals, and they want to share with the audience the films they like and which they pick all year long in good festivals. And it's absolutely great to do that. Viennale, I don't know if you know Viennale, the festival in Vienna is an amazing festival. Maybe the best experience you can have in a festival, because the programmers from Vienna, they travel all around the world during 1 year, and they bring to Vienna the best films of the year. And they have good taste. So it's great, you know. It's a great job. We do a very different job, which is in competition having this exigence and this, which is also, of course, a limit and which makes work more difficult to show films with this status of world premiere or international premiere. Why do we do that? We do that because our mission, our goal is to discover films. discover films and to give the chance to, again, very independent films, very young filmmakers usually, to give them chance to exist, to get to the screen, to get to the audience, and to start their circulation among festivals, and why not finding their way to a commercial distribution too. So the FIDMarseille is really a festival whose mission is to dig, the territory of new cinema, and to extract and to find things which no one has found before. And it's not just because we are proud of doing that, it's because it's a way, if all festivals showed only films they had seen elsewhere, there would be, it would be the same films everywhere in all the festivals in the end, So there has to be festivals who have this, this exigence of showing films for the first time. Which means two things. Which means that FIDMarseille is a festival which attracts lots of international professionals, programmers, distributors, producers, because people know that if they come to Marseille, they will discover films they haven't seen elsewhere. And then this film travel, some of them travel around the world. And but the second consequence is that the selection job is very intense and very hard, because we can not just pick few films we like around the world. We have to dig, really, to dig the earth of contemporary cinema to find films. And so how do we do that? We have an internet website which is called Eventival. I don't know if you know it. It's a tool which is used by many festivals. We have about 3,000 films which are submitted every year. We have a selection committee of 6 people. We spent 3-4 months watching all those films and making a pre-selection among all the films which are submitted. And of course, we are also scouting films through people we know and everything. There are 2 ways to find films. There are the films which are submitted to us, and the ones whose production we follow through a network of relations, of course. So we do this pre-selection, which is a hard job of maybe 4 or 5 months. And each of us comes with, 30, 40 films he wants to share with the others. And then we gather in Marseille for 1 week, and early April, and 2 weeks early May, and we share the films. We show the films to each other, and we fight. We fight, and we have a very old-fashioned tableau, Velleda tableau, which we write the titles. At the bottom of the tableau, it's then the heaven, on top with the final selection. It's a great job. So every film is a bet, because there is the films that there is no validation yet of the films. It's films we believe in, and then we see what happens during the festival. In competition now we have around 50 films in competition. There is an international competition of about 12, 13, 14 films. It depends. Of course, films from all over the world. We have a national competition of between 8 and 10 films, which are not only French films, it's French-produced films. Co-produced, sometimes. We have a first film competition, which is very important, because it becomes more and more the core and the center of our selection, the first film competition, because we have this goal and mission to discover young filmmakers and trying to launch young filmmakers. So the first films are very important for us. And it's about 10 films, and the first film competition is of course international, and it's 10 films competition. Then we have what we call flash competition, because we don't like the word cortometraggio, because it's another industrial genre in a way, you know. The flash, it means, I don't know, some kind of energy, maybe. But it's dedicated to short films, still, which is international competition too. And then we have another competition, which is for like 8 films, which is dedicated to films which, in our eyes, have the obvious potential to have a commercial distribution. And it's a competition with a quite big amount of money. I don't know, 15,000 euros, which is the bigger prize we have in Marseille. We're not very rich, which goes directly to the distributor of the film, to the distributor who engages in distributing the film. So that's it, and so it's about 50 films in competition, and then we have every year 1, 2, 3, depends, retrospective programs, usually of filmmakers who are alive, because we want to have them with us and to do master classes. And last year we did Vecchiali. He was supposed to be with us, but he died in between. And of course we paid homage and we kept the retrospective. But to give you examples of filmmakers to whom we dedicated retrospective in the last years, there was Vera Stakul, Angela Chanelek, Albert Serra, Sharon Lockhart. I don't know if you know this amazing American filmmaker. Bertrand Bonello. So again, it ranges fiction, documentary, art films. Laure Prouveau last year. I don't know if you, the French contemporary artist who makes films. Whit Stillman. Don't know if you know Whit Stillman, who's an amazing director of 5 beautiful American comedies, so very far from documentary. And then we have also, in the non-competitive section, we have these retrospectives, and we have also a short, small section which used to be huge, in which we used to show all the films which couldn't enter the competitions and which we wanted to show. And it was like 100 films, like a basket full of films. And it was too much, and we reduced it to make also much more precise choices and strong choices. Yes, but with films which couldn't find their place in the competitions for different reasons, because they were full, or because it's films which didn't have the world or international premiere status, films which were only French premieres or no premieres too, but which we really wanted to show and to share with the audience. So we have a section for these films. We have a section, a non-competitive section, which enables to show films without the restraints of this world premiere or international premiere status. Last year, for example, we showed Men in Black by Wang Bing, this amazing film, which was shown in Cannes, for example. You know, and we did a wonderful screening in Marseille with Wang Bing and Caroline Champetier, who did the image. It was beautiful. It couldn't be in competition, but it was even better for the film. And so that's it. We refuse absolutely the idea of selecting films because of their theme or explicit content. I would say, of course, it matters, but it means we don't program. We don't have thematic programs. But then, of course, in general, what we try to do this year with all these films in competition and out of competition is to build our map of contemporary cinema, our personal map of independent contemporary cinema, our map of the most innovative, I don't like the word innovative, but the most singular film writings, I would say. But without any criteria, the only criteria we have, and it's a very, it's not a very precise criteria. It's the idea that each film has to speak its own language, in a way. Of course, not every film invents its language out of the blue, you know, of course, but has to make a difference in the way it uses cinematic tools to produce its own personal music, you know, its own personal way of thinking with the means of cinema, of course. So it's a very vague criteria, but it's our criteria. I don't know. It works. So it's what I'm going to try to show you today. It's films who I believe which I believe are all very special in the way they are produced and in the way they tell stories, document contexts, and everything. Last thing maybe want to say about the festival is working for a festival is a weird job. You work like crazy for during 6 months for a few days of intense, crazy energy for a bunch of people who gather in one city, and then it's the end. You rest for a few months, and then you start preparing the next edition. It's great, but we had the feeling 2-3 years ago that it was not enough today, because of the crisis of the distribution of films, you know, because of the crisis of theatrical distribution all over Europe, which was of course aggravated by COVID, and because also of and this crisis, its consequence is that distributors are more and more reluctant to take risks and to distribute films which are made out of the production highway, I would say. So festivals have today a very important role in defending this cinema, and so we started developing a huge program all through the year. We had the feeling that the festival should not only happen 1 week a year, but should be a broader and more continuous political, social, educational project which goes through the year with this very intense moment of the festival, of course, of the week of the festival. But like the energy of this week had to radiate and to be continued all through the year. That's why we do programs like this. That's why we do lots of screenings in Marseille, lots of all through the year. And we do also educational programs in schools, colleges, high schools, elementary schools in Marseille and in the region. And that's why also we do workshops like that in film schools. I was in ECAM in Madrid a few weeks ago, for example. Do you have any questions, or do you want to see the first movie? Yes.
Thank you. I was just wondering, what's your look and what's your point of view on artificial intelligence in this, in this like future way of producing films that may have even more different maybe approach, and that can, because you said that there is no like labels on, film genre or things like that. So do you think, what will be the key role, or maybe just the role of artificial intelligence in all of this? And are you already seeing things coming with this approach? I don't know.
Maybe they could replace us all. Maybe there won't be any selection committee anymore. It's going to be IA, which will select select films. And I don't know. It's a good question, which I haven't reflected on yet, because again we work more in handmade and quite precarious and independent way of producing films, so very far from this innovative. Your question is about the variety of film writings. How will it?
Like I will start wondering on this because we are trying to produce and to apply to educational programs of festivals around the world, and some of them are like writing a question about what's your how does your film integrate with this new artificial intelligence approach, and so I was trying to because I haven't think about this still, so I was trying to put myself into this path to try to understand a little bit better what the future may be.
I have absolutely no idea what the future may be. I know what the present is. It's frightening enough, in a way. No, I don't know actually. But I didn't know that festivals were asking these questions to applicants. I mean, maybe we are very old-fashioned, but we are still quite far from these questions. I guess we'll soon have to ask them because. I read, articles, but screenwriters who say that artificial intelligence is a great tool to write, to write films. I have a hard time believing in that, but I'm sorry, it's beyond my range.
No, that's very good. I'm quite relieved actually that. This is like quite a topic that we will, start to talk about, but maybe not just now. But
no, I'm not, and I'm not in a hurry, to.
Yeah. Thank you. I've seen in France that in contracts there are a huge part on AI now on contracts, on option contracts. Yeah. The model on Sede, for example. Now integrate a huge part on AI. Yeah, AI, I don't know. And I think it's much more used than what we know. I think we are not able to detect always how much it is used. And I think it's not such a high technology, such a difficult technology. It's actually one of the easiest one on the market. It's easy to approach it, it's easy to use it, it's easy to be formed to learn how to use it. And it's now, like, I had a discussion with a DFX technician a few days ago, and he was saying that he's already using it for doing things that would cost so much, and now he can do it for in few minutes. So I think it's already there. It's probably already in the movies you are programming, but yes, a part of the market is not seeing it. Like, for example, in CSC, there was no discussion about it. Like, as a lecteur, we are not formed. We don't talk about it. But another part of the market is already seeing it and is already thinking about it. That was a good question.
No, and I guess, of course, it's used in, in post-production, at all levels of production, and AI is used already, of course. Yeah. Of course, but I was thinking I was more in science fiction, in which they would replace screenwriters, but of course they are already there, and it's at work already, of course. Mm. And we should know how it works, where it's at work, of course.
Speaking of AI and algorithms, I'm thinking of streaming platforms and the way they're opening up a bit towards short films, short contents, short forms, I would say. But I'm also thinking about Cannes and its clash with Netflix. So where does FIDMarseille stand? What's your point of view on how short forms can be integrated or not in streaming platforms?
We work with Mubi, for example. We have a partnership with Mubi. and it would be so stupid to consider platforms as enemies, but there are platforms and platforms. We have to work with the good ones which have an editorial ambition. As Tank, maybe Tank in France, but Tank is a very, very good French platform for documentary films. But Mubi, of course, Mubi is becoming huge. Mubi is much more than a platform now. It's a production company, it's a distribution company. It's but Mubi itself works now not against theatrical distribution, but with and for too. So it's evolving. So I think this idea of this fight between platforms and this idea that there is a war between platforms and theatrical distribution is a very, very, very old-fashioned and dangerous way of thinking, because we have to find ways to work together, and they already exist and they are developing very fast. And all the very good distributors, and I know in France, either they have their own platform or they work with platforms, and so we have a partnership with the Mubi, which every year makes a small selection of films from the feed, makes a special program, and they give us carte blanche of films we want to. So Mubi is an amazing way for our promotion, of course. The festival. No, we have to find ways to work together. It's stupid to oppose them. And this Cannes Netflix fight is. It's both reactionary and hypocritical from Cannes' perspective, I think, and I'm sure it's over. I'm sure it's over.
Reason I asked is that I live in the UK, and Mubi does a program called Mubi Go. So every time they put a film on the platform, students and whoever, people can go to cinemas, show their subscription, and they can see the movie that's on theaters before it goes onto platforms. So that's why I was curious how festivals are reacting to that.
Yeah, we try to work together, and the good platforms need us also to find films, and we invite in our juries people from platforms now, for example. So let's see a film. The first film is a Mexican short film, which was shown last year in our Flash competition. It's a film by Julio Hernandez Cordon. Maybe you know him. His nationalities are American and from Guatemala, but he lives and works in Mexico City for many years. So he's like a Mexican. He's a Mexican filmmaker in a way. He made a few feature films already, which were screened in Rotterdam. One was in Directors Fortnight in Cannes a few years ago. He's quite now a renowned independent filmmaker, and he lives in Mexico City, and he makes many of his films. Many of his films are about this territory where he lives, the present situation, the present social and political, conflictual and violent situation of this city. And its history too, and it's and his way of his films. For every film, he invents kind of a language which is between documentary, collaborative films, which are done with the people from the territory, a dimension of essay film with his voice and his very subjective presence in the narration, and a very playful way of using fiction too. So it's a very good example of someone who works out his own method for each film, and this one is called Los Rayos de la Tormenta, the rays of the storm. Yeah, nothing more to say to present it. What's interesting, you will see it quite obvious. It's the way of connecting the very, very long history, very old past, sorry, of this territory and the present situation, and to find a way both to describe the situation, the tensions, and to overcome them in a way.
Si soy así es porque tuve que hacerme así, tuve que hacerme al modo del barrio, o sea, hacerme bravo, o sea, hacerme, al no dejarme, ¿me entiendes? Al defenderme. Problemático no soy, créeme, no busco problemas, pero no me dejo. Si buscas conmigo problemas, adelante, yo me defiendo, ¿eh? Yo, si quieren aventarse un tiro, yo me aviento un tiro.
Durante los primeros meses del 2022 estuve pensando de qué podía hablar de la Ciudad de México. No quería ser obvio y bueno, pensé en los árboles de la Ciudad de México. En un momento en el que las palmeras tienen hongos y las retiran de la Avenida de la Reforma. En un momento donde los negocios cortan los árboles porque tapan la fachada de sus comercios. O cortan árboles porque tapan los espectaculares o los anuncios en las calles. Me pareció como importante hablar de un árbol especial en la Ciudad de México. Es el árbol de la noche triste, un árbol que no tiene hojas, un árbol que no tiene ramas, un árbol que se ha quemado en 3 ocasiones y un árbol que tiene más de 500 años y significa mucho para un país, porque nos recuerda la única victoria que tuvieron los aztecas sobre los españoles. Un árbol donde lloró Hernán Cortés. Y bueno, con la gente de Tepito y con los danzantes y guerreros del Zócalo, me animé a revisitar la mitología de este árbol, el árbol de la noche triste.
Separado del eje para acá, pues está Tepito, y del eje para acá está la colonia Centro. Entonces, pues desgraciadamente cada quien tiene su límite de pedazos. Pues sí, ahorita ya los de este lado pues no se llevan muy bien con los de este lado. Entonces, pues nada más hago el comentario, ¿no? Porque pues de poder grabar, pues se puede grabar, así que no habría ningún problema, pero sí, o sea, hay como un distanciamiento, o sea, el de que...
¿Por qué no se llevan bien?
Pues por el territorio, o sea, más que nada porque muchos de este lado quisieron controlar a este lado y pues no se pudo, entonces pues hubo muchas peleas y ya ha habido y sigue habiendo. Entonces, pues, cuando ven que no eres de ahí, pues muchas veces, desgraciadamente, pues quieren, ¿no? Así que...
¿Y qué es lo que quieren controlar?
Pues a la gente y ahora sí que pues, cobrarles a las gentes, cobrarles el piso, cobrarles ahora sí que pues, extorsionarlos y pues nadie, pues, ni el gobierno puede hacer nada, por eso es que está ahí el problema, ¿no?
¿Qué nos recomiendas?
Pues buscar otra porquería o hacerla en otro, pues en un lugar donde nosotros ahora sí que estemos un poquito más seguros, más que nada.
Ha estado muy apática la gente, no sé, ¿cómo lo han visto ustedes? ¿Cómo lo has visto tú, Paola?
No, sí, el sol ha estado muy fuerte y ha estado muy bajo el dinero.
No, pues hablando de eso de los de Tepito, pues ahí también hay que tener cuidado porque ya ves que lo que te sucedió a ti, ¿no?
Ojalá que no le vaya a pasar a alguna de ustedes, la verdad. Pensé en mis hijas en ese momento.
Ya, güey, Guerrero.
Cuando no lo vi venir esta persona, la verdad. Y no pensé en devolver el golpe, la verdad. Pues como pudo haber pasado a mí, le pudo haber pasado a alguna de ustedes.
Hay que hacer algo diferente, ¿no?
¿Cómo qué?
No sé.
Pues es que ya se viene la noche triste.
Ándale.
Podemos hacer algo así, no igual, pero parecido.
¿Qué escena?
Ándale, eso estaría bien.
Oye,
Yo
está
lo
interesante,
propongo.
pero tiene muchos trajes. ¿Cuál de todos vas a
El de
podemos
cuando los
hacer?
corretean, cuando va Cuitláhuac atrás de ellos, todos los mexicas por Tacuba, que salen de ahí de Templo Mayor y que se dan vuelta para Tacuba, ¿no?
¿Como una recreación?
Ajá, algo así. Anda.
Estaría padre.
Que vayan a poder.
Podemos actualizar algo del...
Lo actual.
Lo actual, ¿me entiendes? Algo del siglo XXI. En vez de caballos, ¿por qué no usamos unas motos?
¿Cómo nos vamos a ver en motos?
Tú creo que tienes unos amigos que te los digo, ¿no? O sea, en vez de caballos podemos usar motos, tú tienes unos amigos que son de Tepito.
Pues es cuestión de que les diga, ahora sí que pues son medio güeros y parecen medio españoles.
Él es Enrique Ortiz, es historiador. También creció en Texcoco igual que yo. Y lo contacté por Instagram. Él documenta el mundo precolombino en la Ciudad de México. Y lo invité a integrarse a esta narración porque realmente él tiene como datos mucho más certeros y puede pronunciar mejor todos los nombres precolombinos, algo que a mí no me sale muy bien.
Y Hernán Cortés está reacio a abandonar Tenochtitlan porque él no quiere perder el territorio ya ganado. Bajo la presión de sus capitanes no le queda otra alternativa y decide que van a salir de noche.
Veías un español y cuando vas a entrenar hasta lo quieres golpear, ¿no? De que dices todo lo que realmente Europa es rico por nosotros, por todo aquello que hubo aquí, no nada más en México, sino en toda América, ¿no? Los barcos llenos de oro que se iban de aquí. Y después cuando vas madurando, tú así que te vas letrando tal vez y vas comprendiendo, dices, bueno, pues ya nos tocó estos momentos, esta época, y nada más lo que puedes hacer es tal vez mediar o enseñar a la gente lo que realmente éramos como personas, ¿no? O como civilización. Ya no puedes pelear con todo el mundo, así que nada más lo sobrellevas. Cuando estuve en el servicio militar, ahí hay un tlacateca, un tlacatecutli, que el jefe militar es el hombre de las armas. En ese tiempo, los prehispánicos, ahora sí que era el hombre de las armas y él era a cargo del Tlacoscali, que es la casa de las armas, en el cual estaba todo el recinto de armas, en el cual estaba el más emblemático, que era el Macahuil. Era capaz de cortar un caballo, de tirarte las dos rodillas de un solo tajo. Existían varios tipos de armas: el atlán de larga distancia, la honda, el tepostli, que es la hacha, el cuauloli, que es como un mazo, que era conocido como mazo. Estaba el pamil, que era el cubreflechas, el cubredardos. Había muchos tipos de armas, realmente era una élite guerrera. El tepitzapili, que es la lanza. Ahora sí que era una gente aguerrida para la guerra.
En vano nací, en vano vine a buscar en la tierra. Soy un desdichado, aunque nací y broté en la tierra. Digo, ¿qué harán los hijos que han de sobrevivir? En vano nací, en vano vine a buscar en la tierra. Soy un desdichado, aunque nací y broté en la tierra. Digo, ¿qué harán los hijos que han de sobrevivir?
Queremos hacer algo bien chingón para ahora sí que se viene lo de la noche victoriosa o la noche triste que todos conocemos. Necesitamos tus motos y así quedamos tablas. ¿Cómo ves? ¿Te late?
Pues, ya sé que te debo, carnal, pero pues aquí ahorita pues, ando también un poco quebrado, la neta. Y aparte, pues yo no decido ahorita, la que decide es Ceci.
Chale. Bueno, ¿y de qué? ¿De cómo estamos hablando o qué?
Queremos hacer la noche victoriosa, necesitamos, así que no tenemos caballos, pero queremos las motos.
Sí, pero pues es que yo necesito hablar acá con mis carnalitos, con mi carnala, pues para ver si se les hace, ahora sí que, la balona.
Igual fue uno de la lagunilla, fueron a rentearnos, la neta, también de qué se trata, ¿no? Con mi carnal se quisieron pasar.
También yo necesito saber si les conviene a ellos hacerles paro o no. Porque pues también así como de la nada, pues como que no.
Yo sé que no nos conoces a nosotros, bueno, a mí en lo personal, a ellos, pues Nando, conoce a mi hermano, ¿no? Y la verdad, es cultural, que nos va a ir bien, nos va a ir bien. Pues es algo muy bonito. Y ustedes tienen los caballos de acero, mis hermanos. Y aparte, pues son blancos, ustedes son blancos, son güeros. Sí, nosotros tenemos la piel y pues
¿Y
queremos
ustedes
hacer
qué
eso.
planean, hermano? ¿Manejar las motos o qué piensan hacer?
No, pues los caballos lo traían los españoles y ustedes tienen el color.
¿Qué tipo de paro quieren? ¿Quieren paro contra esos güeyes o paro en salir con ustedes o qué? ¿Cuál es su plan?
Bueno, realmente queremos que ustedes sean españoles, igual algún día...
Pero no, hermano, ¿cómo vamos a ser nosotros españoles y hablar como español, así de hostias, tío? No, ¿cómo crees, hermano? Y luego dices que es algo cultural, nosotros nos movemos con dinero, hermano, no así como dices tú, no nada más por puro gusto, pues no, hermano, ¿no?
Asparo, igual algún día va a estar una dancita allá a la Virgen de...
Y mientras mi moto con la danza va a andar, ¿o cómo?
En San Juditas también te hacemos un paro, ahora sí que igual ahí...
No, pero...
A la santita, carnal, también, ahora sí que si tienen un altarcito también le danzamos. Sí, porque sabemos que ahí en el barrio, en el Tepis, también la banda le pega también, adora a la santita, ¿no?
Ponemos la imagen de...
Y sí, y el otro día, como reabunda mi hermano, yo sufrí pues un pequeño atentado, ¿no? Llegó un tipo de mediana estatura y pues no lo vi venir y me golpeó, me tiró y pues la verdad, pues yo vine a pedir también el paro, ese detalle, ¿no? Porque es de acá, de este lado.
¿Quién es? Me parece que es el exnovio de mi prima pero pues tú te ves muy rudo, ¿por qué no te defendiste con tus lanzas?
Pues sí, lo sé, pero estoy en un espacio público y pues yo represento cultura. Y había niños, la verdad, y pues no quise hacerlo.
Ok, entonces las motos se te hacen más decentes.
Pues son parte, pues son los caballos de la actualidad. Pues aquí en la ciudad, ¿dónde vamos a encontrar caballos en realidad de cuatro patas? Si ustedes lo tienen, hagamos cultura. Vamos a participar, apóyennos, les vamos a apoyar.
¿Han ido a la noche triste? Igual podemos ir para que vean, la neta está chingón. Echamos un caguamón.
¿Las piedras de qué son?
Sí, son para sostenerme, no para darle más realce. Así que darle gusto. Hasta un gato salvaje.
Gato montés.
Gato arrabalero de ciudad.
Con tabaco.
Fueron 3 los grandes incendios que asolaron el mítico árbol de la noche triste. El primero fue en 1872, cuando todavía Popotla se ubicaba a una distancia considerable de la Ciudad de México. El segundo fue en 1972, el cual, al parecer, fue causado. ¿Por qué? Porque el árbol representaba la opresión sobre los pueblos indígenas por los europeos. Finalmente, el que acabaría con su longeva vida se daría el 10 de enero de 1980. ¿Qué sucedió esa noche? Esa noche había una feria en la esquina, justo al lado del árbol. Muy posiblemente se trató de un cortocircuito. También existe la posibilidad que un indigente haya arrojado una colilla o haya prendido una fogata al pie del majestuoso ahuehuete. Otra posibilidad es que un cohete haya chocado contra su maleza y eso finalmente haya causado el incendio que acabaría con su vida. Los mexicas pues ya sabían de esta escapada. Los estaban esperando en un lugar donde solamente estaba la calzada. Y de ambos costados lo único que había pues era las aguas obscuras del lago de Texcoco. Ahí fue donde se desató el pandemonio, ahí fue donde se desató la masacre. Se tiñeron de rojo las obscuras aguas del lago de Texcoco. Ahí fue donde se sumergieron para no volver a ver la luz del sol cientos de españoles. La sangre saciaría la sed del sol y sus corazones lo alimentarían. El cielo estaba nublado, una completa oscuridad. Lloviznaba esa noche. Salieron por la calzada de Tlacopan. La ciudad estaba en silencio. Sin embargo, los mexicas no estaban durmiendo. Ellos estaban al acecho. Ellos vigilaban las principales calzadas de Tenochtitlan, pues sabían de la necesidad de los castiltecas de abandonar esta ciudad. Empezaron a rugir las caracolas desde la cima de los 78 templos del recinto ceremonial, entre ellos el Hueteocali. También se escucharon los huehueme, los tambores que eran percutidos por los sacerdotes desde Tlatelolco, desde el Calputin de Tepito, desde el barrio de Tlacocolmolco. De León. Ellos cuidaban el quinto real, la quinta parte de todo el botín que por derecho le correspondía al monarca español. De la derrota para Hernán Cortés. No fue la noche triste para los victoriosos mexicas, para ellos fue la noche de la victoria, pero para los castiltecas, para los teteutin, para los cristianos, fue la noche triste.
Les voy a contar una anécdota. Hace unos años mataron a mi primo, a mi hermano lo hirieron. porque en donde vivimos había un punto. Mi hermano y mi primo no eran ni de problemas. Estas personas llegaron, X personas llegaron, pam, 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 dispararon, no midieron ni preguntaron, mataron a mi primo y a mi hermano lo hirieron. ¿Qué pasó? Justicia nunca hubo. Justicia nunca hubo.
800 españoles murieron por el peso del oro cuando cayeron en las oscuras aguas del lago de Texcoco. No podían nadar. Hernán Cortés en ese momento preguntó a uno de sus lugartenientes, ¿acaso sobrevivió doña Marina? Y le respondieron afirmativamente. Entonces dijo, vamos, que nada nos falta. Hernán Cortés tuvo la intención de regresar. Decía, ¿dónde está mi columna? Sin embargo, pues no había más personas.
Nos vamos caminando desde el barrio de Tepito hasta allá, hasta el santuario del Señor de Chalma, que se encuentra en el Estado de México. Cuando vas a Chalma por primera vez, sí tienes que bailar como antes. Hace muchos años había un señor con un violín y ese señor te tocaba el violín y tú tenías que bailar como tú pudieras. O sea, no había un baile especial, ¿no? Sino que el señor tocaba el violín y ya tú te ponías a bailar ahí, como si estuvieras escuchando el violín nada más.
¿Puedes seguir bailando, perdón?
Sí. Ya agarras tú tu ritmo, ya bailas como quieras, porque no, digo que no hay así.
I'm curious, of course, how you react to this film. Maybe first I can tell you why we chose it and why we like it. For many reasons. The film, obviously, it's said very explicitly. It's a film which reworks which has become quite a genre, essay genre or documentary genre, which is the genre of reenactment. How you reenact historical facts, historical events from the past today. And this film does it in a very, very playful way, obviously, and does it in a way, what is very interesting, in a way which not only reenacts the past and evokes the past, but at the same time works the contemporary state, the situation of the neighborhood. So it's all the tricks and the tools and the playful invention of the film have the same goal, which is to merge two historical stratas, two historical periods, and to create like a cinematic material, which is a mix of the two, and that's aesthetically very enjoyable, I think, narratively enjoyable, and politically very interesting also. Not to separate, to create this this material against which is a mix, a sensitive mix of different historical stratas. And starting from this intention ID, the film mixes also different film aesthetics and film traditions. You have, I like, for example, the way he uses his own voice. It's not the classical voiceover which comes from above. It's a voiceover which comes from the inside. It's as if he was like whispering, while the things are developing and happening in the film. And the way he uses also the cliché of the historian, of the guy who knows, and will give all the historical content. I like the way he makes fun of it, like he presents it in a way which covers the informative and historical talk. I like the way he puts him in the same place where the natives have their discussions about what they are going to do, how they are going to, what they could do to escape the conflict between the neighborhoods, which leads to this very interesting way also the way the film works. The film is how the film puts characters in au premier plan, how he works between how you say it in English, sorry, background of the shots, foreground and background, sorry. Characters in the foreground and the background. Of course, the use of sound is it's quite amazing, and it's very playful, and the film. I think the film also plays with another tradition, which is maybe non-cinematographic, which is a tradition of cartoon, of a comic strip in a way. And the way he uses sound, it's as if you saw, like these sound indications in comic strips. So it's a film which brings ideas and forms from a very broad variety of origins and influences, and who blends them in a quite unique form, I think. And maybe, I don't know, if you have comments, of course, don't hesitate. It's, as I told you, we are very interested also in the way the films are produced. That's interesting because, as you feel, it's a kind of collaborative film. It's a film which is made with the people from the neighborhood. We'll see different examples of that today. And it's usually these films, these films which are made in this collaborative way, either they become workshop films. You see people, like working together, and the film insists on the way it is done in the collaboration, in a very documentary and direct way. Either you see the result of it. Here again, you are in the middle because it's as if the film was fictionalizing the workshop and reenacting the invention of the film by the people. I think you feel it, that all these discussions, they are all not scripted, but they are prepared, they are reenacted. It's not direct conversations, but what could we do? Maybe we could do that. Maybe we could use the motorcycles as horses. Maybe you feel that it's acted, that it's. So the process of the film was to. There was this workshop. All the ideas came in a workshop methods between Julio and the guys from the neighborhood, from the two neighborhoods, from Tepito and from the center. But then all the film is staged in a way. It's a reenactment of the workshop. So the reenactment of the historical facts is done through a sort of reenactment of the fictional reenactment of the workshop, which is, I think it's very clever. It's something you feel in this shot, which is at the center of the film, which is a long sequence shot, you know, with the long circular traveling. It's like a 5-minute shot, which moves between the negotiation shots scene between the guys, you know, who play the Spanish and the guy who play the Mexicans. You have this like a battle or negotiation, which is like which is done in a sequence shot, which uses direct sound, but in a way which is as if the camera was moving from one person to another. Of course, it is staged. Of course, it's not done like this, you know, in a single one shot. And that is, I think, typical of the method that Julio used. So it's a film which, I don't know what you feel about the impression and the result of this method, which is really broadening the scope between the essay on the contemporary situation of a neighborhood, the evocation of the past, and a filmic method which tries to create this very lively and very speed narration through the reenactment of documentary situations. Who wants to say something? If you don't like it, you can say. Of course, I'm very interested. Don't like it. I mean, it's not about liking or not liking, but if you have.
Did it really happen? This conversation between these people that want to enact? Did it really happen to this conversation that was staged, as you were saying? Was something that it was really maybe something that the director heard about, or there was something that was going on with the festivity of this tree, and he just got to meet these people, or he thought about it? I don't know if you know, of course, but
well, no, he explained that he brought these people together. And he asked them to. He told them just the very idea of this reenacting scene they could do together, and they had a very natural, discussion. And after that, he scripted it, but it was a script which was made after genuine, true discussion between them. Yeah. Okay. So it was. It happened in a workshop situation. It was then scripted and then staged. Don't be shy. You have nothing to say. What I like about this film is the speed of the film. It's nice to see films who go fast, who don't, have this energy of invention, this pleasure of invention. From one shot to another, it's another surprise. It's another films which don't put themselves on tracks, and with the film has something of a Luna Park, and I love the way he used this. I guess it's a market, with all these tiny pavilions, It's a closed market at night. And he makes a Luna Park out of it by the way he films it, these crazy shots accelerated with the use of the mirror, and to create like... it's very, very simple and very strange means to create this reality, which is a fantastic reality, fantastic evocation of the past, fantastic mix of present and past, he does it very, very simply and in a very material way in the image, by splitting the image, by playing, with these tricks. And so these small pavilions, they evoke when they become temples. When the historian evokes the temples, the Mexican. So the film uses all these very playful and absolutely not serious connections between what you hear, the words you hear, the things you see, to create another reality in your mind, I guess.
That made me think this movie, which is when you talk about new languages in cinema, I think that one thing that is really interesting, and I don't know if you feel this way, is that recently I feel that exists a space for movies to not take themselves too seriously, and yet not searching for laughter, for something like, and where is a space where it's very light but beautiful, pleasant experience, which I think it's something like this.
Yeah, of course it's. I mean, what you say is just the ideal films for me. Films which don't take themselves too seriously, but which are serious, which deal with serious matters without taking themselves seriously.
Of course, there are beautiful films who take themselves seriously, but
of course too.
Yeah,
it's true. But it's you're right. It's an in-between region, which is very exciting. I don't know if it's more. You feel it's something which is more alive today?
I feel it's less intellectual, the discussion today, so it's more spontaneous. I feel so. Just,
that's what's... Yeah. I mean, Rousseau works like that, all his films deal with important historical or political matters, but he always finds a very playful way to address them. And
I guess he has to do also with the voices that comes into cinema today. I think
like the voices. What do you mean by voices?
Different. There's a different experience when you go into a festival today instead of, I think, what was the films that were projected even 20 years ago. I think it's more, or even just going to movie is already so much liberating, I think, in terms of the type of people that do films and the things that you can find, I think. So.
Yeah, I agree with that, yeah. It's true. And for example, he made a previous film which we showed in Marseille too, the same filmmaker, which is an exploration of his neighborhood, again, where he grew up, which deals with environmental problems, political problems. But how does he evoke it? It's he visits. He does a film with his daughter, which is like 10 years old, and they both act as insolent kids who walk through properties, who jump walls, who play with the neighborhood, like as in a Larry Clark film, for example, you see. But in their dialogue and the people they meet, it evokes very serious matters, but as if they were children playing in the neighborhood, and children playing in the neighborhood as children play, which is ignoring the boundaries, ignoring the normal use of the space, yeah.
Thank you. I'm absolutely agree with you, and it was very well said. The playful, the way he play with the film, and I've seen the same thing with the film of Nader yesterday, and this way of reinvent the reality and to be very generous with the audience and with the people who was part of the film. And I think what I liked in this one is the way he showed the meeting and the importance of the meeting inside the film with the people who were the part of the film. And I was asking myself if it's a decision to go in this direction for the new feed. I can call it like this, maybe, because you arrived in of the director as artistic director of the feed 3 years ago.
I've been working at FID for 5 years between 2006 and 10. I was in the selection committee, and then I left for 9 years, and I came back in 2017 in the selection committee. And as Eric said, when the historical director left 2 years ago, we tried to have a collective direction, which evolved, which remains quite collective, but I've been artistic coordinator and now artistic director. It's just so it's it's not. I don't know if there is a new feed, because we really want to keep the former director built a very, very special festival, which is very useful and very renowned and appreciated. So we absolutely don't want to make the revolution, but we want to make it evolve and to connect it to open up the festival maybe a bit, and to. We are different people, so. But this kind of this film, the former director had shown films by him already. The former director had already shown films by Julio Hernandez Cordon. He could have shown it, Okay. So now it's just, as you say, it's just cinema which is evolving in this direction, maybe. This playfulness, this way of. I never thought of that actually, but this tendency to avoid the too frontal speech, direct. I love it, the way he uses his voice, his whispering voice. That's And it's true that what you say about he creates a space to not only for meeting, for encounter between these people from two neighborhoods, but a place also to work and play together. And so the film has to do with the overcoming of the violence for the time of the film. But I like the way also the film is built. It ends up with this very funny dance with the guy with his dress with Christ, but before that you have the testimony of the guy who said, my cousin was killed, my brother was half killed. So okay, we play, it's fun, but let's not forget the violence. Okay, we can move to the next film if you want. What time do we stop? I don't know.
How many is it long?
I would stop I don't know, because we finish at 5 this afternoon. We can have an hour and a half break for lunch. I don't know. Stop at noon, and come back at 2.
We can do a quarter, a break or quarter.
I will do a break this morning.
Volete fare una pausa di 15 minuti e poi? Sì.
We can make a short break now if you want.
We make a break now of 15 minutes and then.
Okay, then I'll show you 2 more films this morning.
Ok, ci vediamo tra un quarto d'ora. Così poi we can stop at 1 o'clock.
filmmaker from Holland whose name is Wendelin van Oldenborg. She's a visual artist, but who works mainly with film. But her films are mainly shown in museums and galleries, except in FIDMarseille. We've shown many films by her. And all the films of her, the main preoccupation of Wendelin is to make films which create connections between architecture and political issues. And usually revisiting the past of buildings or of past cultures through collective performing in special architectures. She works now for a few films. She works only with young women, so it's quite a feminist approach of filmmaking. But as she said, not activist feminism, but practical feminism in the idea of not being of working in not being the master director who's at the top of the pyramid, but to work in a very collective way, very horizontal way. Each film is made really also in a kind of workshop situation, in a special context, special place. She's invited into a place, or she finds a building in which she wants to work because of the history of the building, because of the architecture. She creates a group of women who are artists, filmmakers, students, or scholars, or anything, or poets, and the film emerges from this situation. So this film is it's one of her most beautiful films, I think. It's exemplary of this method. It is the film is self-explanatory, so I won't say much. It's a film which deals with the history of the Indo-Hollandese people. So these people who are like that Indonesia was a colony from the Netherlands. Until I don't know when. I'm not a specialist of the of the history of the Netherlands, but it's about the connection you'll see between the former colony of Indonesia and today's Netherlands, and about these people who, when Indonesia became independent, had to come back to the Netherlands, and these people who were not indigenous from Indonesia and not white European people, but people who were who's like a mixed people, between the two. But the film is obvious again, and the building where it takes place is an art museum, which was, when the film was made, which was in a reconstruction. And you'll see it's great how the filmmaker uses the situation of this building, which is deconstructed and reconstructed, to make a film which has to do with deconstruction and reconstruction of a historical discourse about different things. Yeah, that's all.
de muziek van de straat eigenlijk. Jongens op gitaren. En nou ja, gitaren, ja, men speelde, als je er echt bij wilde horen bij die elite, dan speelde je piano. Of viool, of in ieder geval dan misschien jazz. Altijd als ik Kronjong hoor, raak ik erdoor geëmotioneerd. Er is een versie van Bengawan Solo en dat wordt gezongen door Sandra Remer en Margie Ball, 2 Indische meisjes toentertijd. En die opname en dat duet van die 2, dat is een van de favoriete nummers van mijn moeder. Wat ik laatst pas las, is dat Bengawan Solo eigenlijk een van de eerste populaire Kronjong liedjes was, wat volledig in het Maleis werd gezongen. Misschien zelfs al echt Bahasa Indonesië. En dat er dus eigenlijk juist een heel erg krachtig nationalistisch bijna idee achter zat. Om dat in die taal te zingen. Dus dat Bengawan Solo, dat is in Nederland een soort van weemoedig koloniaal liedje geworden.
Liefste. In Yoruba zeg je odumi om je te verontschuldigen. Du heeft de klank waardoor je buik naar binnen trekt. Het betekent letterlijk, het doet mij pijn. Het doet mij pijn je dit te schrijven. Vandaag, mijn 2e dag terug in Nederland, schrijf ik je vanuit een plek dat van binnen in puin ligt. Terwijl op sommige punten buiten er niets van een ruïne te zien is. Alsof er een beeldenstorm heeft plaatsgevonden, maar de mensen op hun tenen weer naar buiten liepen. Aan het gebouw is veel ingegrepen. De muren zijn meerdere keren afgebouwd, de grond opengebroken om het te vernieuwen. In 1872 werd het als herensociëteit gebouwd, waar mannen uit Nederlands-Indië terecht konden, die bij geen anderen verwelkomd werden. Maar ook zij weerden weer mensen bij de deur. 2 dingen zijn hetzelfde gebleven. De pilaren in het midden van de koepel en de houten deur aan de buitenzijde van de achterkant. Een deur in geheel andere stijl, import. Het gebouw is hybride, in transitie en immer ambigu.
Bestek en voorwaarden van ene buitensociëteit nabij Arnhem. 1873. De afmetingen zijn als volgt. Muziekzaal. Lang 34,50 meter. Hoog 5,83 meter. Inhoud is 66,374 kubieke meter. Af voor opening 33,455.
Ik heb open schoenen aan. Het gruis van het plafond zit tussen mijn tenen.
Dik.
Is cognackleurig als het dorre zand in Ibadan.
Middengebouw.
Bij aankomst videobelde ik met mijn vriendin uit Orlando.
19,10 meter.
Ik weet niet meer wat ik over haar aan je heb verteld, maar ze is de avontuurlijkste persoon die ik ken.
Af voor opening.
Ik vertelde haar dat als iemand van wie ik hou op mijn schoot ligt en mij aankijkt op de manier waarop Billie Eilish No Fair zingt in haar nummer Ocean Eyes, helder, in harmonie met zichzelf, verlekkerd, net iets te lang, ik plaatsvervangende schaamte voel. Ik begreep dat ik bang ben om te houden van een ander toen ik de dichtbundel In the Nude van Logan February las. Ik vond die in een boekenwinkel op Lagos Island. En is een non-binaire queer schrijver. Hij schrijft en publiceert in een hyperreligieus land waar homoseksualiteit openlijk van straat tot staat beklaagd wordt en het de doodstraf kent. En schrijft over liefhebben, verlies en mentale kwetsbaarheden. Ik was troosteloos toen ik die gedichten las. Ik heb in die 3 weken überhaupt geen nacht niet gehuild. Enkel alleen naar Ocean Eyes van Billie Eilish en Love of My Life van Queen luisteren. Zelfs nu, continenten verder, blijven de teksten zich herhalen. Mijn zus en broertje hadden moeite met mijn verdriet. Maar het was meer dan verdriet. Ik was aan het rouwen. Om wie ik was, om wie ik ben, om wie ik had kunnen zijn. Om de taal die ik niet spreek. Om de families, de bureaucratie, het gebrek daaraan. Het gebrek. Je zou denken dat ik hier overspoeld word door geluiden van boormachines of gezaag. Maar er is juist muziek in de koepel. Krontjon, vernoemd naar het geluid dat de snaarinstrumenten, waarmee het enkel gespeeld wordt, maken. Muziek, ooit populair geworden als nieuwe dansmuziek. In eerste instantie door en voor Indo-Europeanen die, ondanks hun privileges, om racistische redenen juist niet erkend of vertegenwoordigd waren. Nu is het niet meer dan achtergrondgeluid.
En toen dacht ik ook, die muziekstijl die ik ken vanuit huis, wat ik dus inmiddels associeerde met Indisch, dat leeft ook nog voort in Indonesië. En het zijn klanken die je ook in de moderne popmuziek in Indonesië nog wel terug hoort. Er zit iets weemoedigs in.
De gitarist vertelde me een verhaal over een pompoenplant en haar overgrootvader, de opa van haar moeder. Een Indonesische man had een Nederlandse buurman. En die man had een pompoenplant. De wortels van het pand kenden geen grenzen en groeiden tot aan de tuin van de opa. Ook daar begon oranje zich af te steken tegen het groen. Er groeide een pompoenplant. Dit gaf de buurman genoeg reden om van de opa's land de zijne te maken. Er was niets tegen te doen. Hoe zelfs de grond onder je voeten je verwerpen kan. Te midden van de klanken een gedicht te schrijven, maar ik heb alleen maar vragen. Kan je muziek dromen die je nooit eerder gehoord hebt? Zoals een land waarin je geboren bent, maar nooit de weg naar terug hebt gevonden. Zoals de warmte van een baarmoeder. Waar voel je warme en koude wind tegelijk? Waar ligt de schoonheid in de ruïne? Is fictie een houding ten opzichte van? Doet mama alleen aardig tegen ons omdat we haar kinderen zijn? Hoe zou ik bewegen als ik gast was in mijn eigen huis? In mijn eigen huid?
En dat concurrerende, dat er iets ontstond wat kon opboksen tegen die hardnekkige ideeën over white supremacy, zouden we nu zeggen. Maar toentertijd gewoon het beter vinden van wat Europees en christelijk was. Dat concurrentie kreeg van muziek gemaakt door niet-witte mensen in een taal van niet-witte mensen. Ja, dat is natuurlijk eigenlijk revolutionair geweest. En de sociale klasse waar mijn oma toe behoorde, die consumeerde die muziek niet echt als iets wat nou echt werd gewaardeerd op culturele waarde. Maar eenmaal in Nederland werden de klanken van Krontjong, de muziek van heimwee, naar een tijd die inmiddels voorbij was.
Hoe ademt de stad en waar ademt ze uit? Hoe klinkt nieuw? Hoe klinkt nieuwe muziek? Hoe klinkt nieuwe muziek opgenomen? Kan ik mijn identiteit onderscheiden van mijn werk? Kan je in taal verraden zoals een taal jou kan verweren? Wat is het geluid van emancipatie? Freddie Mercury was iemand die wel zijn identiteit gescheiden wist te houden van zijn carrière. Ik keek de film Bohemian Rhapsody voor het eerst in het vliegtuig naar Nigeria. Die scène bij Live Aid, waarbij zijn ex met haar nieuwe vriend en baby komen kijken en Freddie, queer als een pauw, zingt die ballade. Love of my life, don't leave me. You've taken my love and now desert me. Love of my life, can't you see? Bring it back, bring it back. Don't take it away from me because you don't know what it means to me. Over haar, voor haar. Terwijl het al jaren uit is en ze loopt ook weg. Dat gegeven komt het dichtst bij dat rouwen waar ik het over heb. Toen ik maar zei dat het liefdesverdriet was tegen mijn broer en zus om jou. Al weet ik niet meer samen zijn, kon ze het plots wel begrijpen.
Kort na de oorlog, museum, een nieuwe vleugel. Steeds meer op toegepaste kunst. In 1971 werd de ingang verplaatst naar de zijkant van het gebouw. Om het een meer informele uitstraling te geven. Vanaf de jaren 80 werd ook bewust werk van vrouwelijke kunstenaars verzameld. Nou ja, dit torentje doet me wel denken aan het stadhuis in Kota Tua in Jakarta, het oude Batavia. Dat was dezelfde architectuur.
Liefdesverdriet en zijn verscheurdheid is gebruikelijker je toe te verhouden dan iets ontastbaar en ongegrond als een identiteit. En zelfs dat is te plat gezegd. Ik vraag me af wat ik te verliezen heb als ik mijn ouders vertel dat er geen enkele vorm van binariteit in mijn leven zal zijn. Ik begin steeds vaker te denken dat vooral zij het zijn die iets te verliezen hebben. Hoe is het ook om te houden van iemand die naar de hel gaat? Vervang na met door en de vraag is voor jou. Het spijt me. Je vertelde me vaak dat je soms naar jezelf kijkt en je jezelf afgrijselijk vindt. Dat je niet kan bevatten hoe het mogelijk is dat een ander jou aantrekkelijk kan vinden. Laat staan om van je te houden. Het doet me pijn te bedenken dat ik dat gevoel mogelijk ga verergeren. Ik wil dat je weet dat ik van je hou, al ben je vanaf sommige hoeken ook afgrijzelijk. Het doet me pijn, maar ik identificeer me met dit gebouw. Ik kan geen vaste vorm aannemen.
Mijn oma was wel een donkere vrouw om te zien.
Ja.
Maar zij is in een koloniale samenleving opgegroeid waarin zij eigenlijk heeft geleerd om Nederlander te zijn.
Ja.
Want ze had ergens een Nederlandse voorvader, weet je, een overgrootvader die Nederlands was. En dus de cultuur en de omgeving waarin zij opgroeide was heel erg Europees georiënteerd.
Ja.
Dus toen ze naar Nederland kwam, had ze volgens mij niet echt het gevoel van ik moet iets overdragen van de Indonesische cultuur.
Ja.
Want mij is altijd verteld dat wij uit Nederlands-Indië kwamen en dat het niks met Indonesië te maken zou hebben. Omdat wij afstammelingen zijn van Nederlanders, gemengd met mensen van daar. Maar wie die mensen van daar waren, dat wist ik niet eigenlijk. Het idee was, we zijn ons land kwijtgeraakt en Nederlands-Indië was ons land. We willen niet bij het moderne Indonesië horen, want er werd neergekeken op die kant van je afkomst. Terwijl ik vind dat die geschiedenissen, die horen bij elkaar. En als je het alleen maar hebt over de Tweede Wereldoorlog en de migratie naar Nederland, dan ben je nog steeds je afkomst eigenlijk aan het verloochenen.
Ja.
Namelijk die van de moeders en de mensen daarvoor.
Als ik naar mezelf kijk, voel ik me bevreemd van. Beeld dat mij moet zijn, maar niet weerspiegelt hoe ik me voel. Bewegingen worden anders, maar niet zoals ik geef terug. Verwacht over schaamte die de geschiedenis overbrug. We lopen op eieren, één voor één allemaal en cijfer wat over wat het betekent. En wat is tekent, wat het is nog. Het gevoel van mijn bestaan, altijd wachten tot anders niet weten dat we niet gaan. Het gevoel van mijn bestaan, altijd wachten tot anders niet weten dat we niet gaan. Het gevoelens door mijn bestaan, altijd wachten tot anders niet weten dat we weg niet gaan. Ik krijg gevoelens door mijn bestaan, altijd wachten tot anders niet weten dat we weg niet gaan. Wachten tot anders niet weten dat we weg niet gaan.
En daar wordt nog steeds niet over gesproken. En als er over wordt gesproken, is het altijd die Indonesiërs tegenover ons Indo's. Terwijl je was nooit Indo geweest als je niet ook afstamde van die Indonesiërs.
Ja.
Ja, en ik vind dus ook dat je dan van daaruit moet bepalen waar je solidariteit ligt.
Ja, dat is een extra gehad. Maar dit werkt wel, ik weet meer in de gewoon zo werkt wel beter.
Different layers of history. What I like very much about the film is it's a very simple film. It's how you build an immense complexity, I think, in thinking and in weaving three very simple threads. The film it's how it's one building again, and three threads. One on the top of the building with a researcher on the history of the colonial past of the Netherlands, and then two threads: this band, this female band, and this Nigerian non-binary writer and poet. And all the film is, I feel, is about complexity, ambiguity, about being torn inside, separated, about not knowing where you belong to. The film, in a way, is about identity, but develops a reflection of how could I say it? It's a film which is made against the idea of identity as a place, as a fixed place, and tries to develop the idea of identity of something which is constant movement between places, poles, you know. So it's, I think the film develops a very important, I guess, I think, political idea regarding this issue of identity, which is such a bore, you know, in the political discourse today. And the film is exemplary on the idea of how you can build a very, I think, a very moving form and a very live form, which develops quite quite high complexity of form at the same time, and of thinking, of thought. What's interesting too is how the film was made. So it's a commission. It's a commission from the museum to the artist, because the museum again was in renovation. And so the renovation of the museum enables different layers of the history of the building to appear. You know, as you see, I love the moment with these posters, these torn posters on the walls, which are former layers of the history of the building. So it's the commission and the idea of the artist to bring these women. And the film was prepared through online workshops and meetings and discussions between the band, the researcher, the poets, and the director. But then the film was shot in one day. They met one day they met 2 days actually. The day before, the band rehearsed a bit in the space, but then the film was shot in one day. Everything was made in one day. And absolutely not scripted. There was no written script. 2 things were written only: the poem that Pelumi wrote working on the conversation they had online, and on the songs, also the music played by the band, and the final music, the final song, which was written for the film. But all the rest is absolutely not scripted. It's like it's really improvised on the set during this one day shooting. And I don't know, for me, I don't know. I'd like to hear you, because this film moves me a lot every time, and it's interesting to know, because the film in a way is very complex in the thinking it develops. It's a very rich film in thinking, but it's a very moving and simple and direct film too. And I think it's because the film relies on performance, really, and it's something which you see is common to many films we'll see today, and I think it's something which is also common to many. A way of reviving classical forms today, and reviving this kind of film today from young directors, is usually the idea of performance, of shooting as performance, of engaging a real, direct, risky performance in the making and in the writing of the film. Performance, you see, acting. I mean, something which is done like that on the moment. Which is not documentary, it is not fiction, which is something else, you know. a different way of embodying an idea, of risking an idea in the present. And that's what makes this film very moving. I think it's for me, what I always love when I see people play music for real or singing for real in a movie. I don't know, maybe it's very personal, but I think it's very moving to see the face of people singing or playing music. And I like very much, for example, in the film, all the the long which is the only actually long shoots, which is a bit like the shoots in the previous film, the circular sequence shot, when the girls are playing the instrumental krongchong, and how the camera moves between the fingers playing, the faces, and you feel and you see them listening to each other and looking at each other and doing it for real together. But in this very beautiful attention they pay to each other while playing, listening, and how the camera and the editing captures that, insist on that, on the faces, which are both concentrated because they play for real, and also attentive to the other, to how the others play. And for me, this shot is the center of the film because it's exactly the way that Wendelin makes movies. Like gathering people in a place and being and listening to people, to what they can do, what they can bring, being very attentive to everyone, making a film as an art of listening to each other and reacting to what the others do. So it's the absolutely opposite of this, this idea of you write a script, you give it to actors, then you come on a set and which is for fiction, but you have the same authoritarian way of making films in documentary, the classical documentary form that we all know. So here, through performance, you have, it's another way of making films which, to me, bring life, bring authenticity, and bring emotion, and can reconciliate emotion and intellectual thinking, which is, I think, very crucial and very, very important. And the film is beautiful because this idea, which is an ideal also of how to make films today, is it conditions also the way of shooting and editing. Why there is no fixed shot? It's always moving. These camera movements, which start on the body or on the face, then move away and seems to be lost in the space. In the beginning, in the architecture, then come back on another face, and all the film is made like that with the long shots. You can imagine it's a very long shot, and then you have the editing, and I think it's a film which should be shown in every editing course. It's an amazing editing, this film, because all the challenge of the editing is how you weave, of course, these layers, and how you weave them, and how also you superimpose them. And the editing is all about, I think it's all about letting an emotion develop, stopping it, coming back to the development of the thought, of the thinking about what? About the relation between Netherlands and Indonesia, and mainly I think about the idea of non-binary. All the film, in a way, resolves in this defense of non-binary way of thinking and being. And the editing also constantly moves between direct sound and the post-synced sound and desynchronized sound. So you have the direct sound, which is, and every time you come back to a face and you see the face peak and you see that the sound, what you hear, meets again with what you see, for me it's always heartbreaking, when before I was in the desynchronized way of editing, which is a more intellectual way also of creating of weaving the threads of the film together. The voice over becomes voice in back, and voice over, voice in. The music is off, then the music is in. All this play between off and in, which is a way of playing between thought and emotion, I guess. I could speak for... I love this film. What do you feel? I'd like to hear you.
I think that it was interesting, but and also it was interesting. What do you say about the mix by simple things and intellectual things? But I was asking to myself if to who is talking this movie, and which is the public to this movie. If it's if it can touch everybody, or if it's a public more intellectual and artistic.
I don't know. I think in an ideal world it should touch everybody. If it touches us, wouldn't it touch everybody? Of course, the film is made. You know, the production is made in the field of contemporary art, in a gallery. You know, of course, the film doesn't have a huge circulation. It's shown in festivals. It will never have a theatrical distribution. But as every work of art today, I don't know why film would be different. So if you should ask the director who did she make this film for? Of course, she made this film for everybody. Then does the film reach everybody? If it doesn't, it's not her fault. It's the fault of the world we live in, the society we live in. It's my opinion on that, you know. I see what you mean, because of course you have works of art which are very intellectual, very specialized, which you can only understand if you know the history of art which leads to this form. Of course it exists. But I don't think it's a case for this film. I think anybody able to listen and see who could appreciate this film, could be moved by this film. You have 3 young girls playing beautiful music. You have a young poet saying a beautiful poem. And you have a young researcher saying quite easy things about the building, and then the weaving is complex, of course. But it's not a difficult movie, I think. It's not a demanding movie. It's a film which challenges the traditional forms of again, of documentary or even essay film. No, I don't know. Don't you agree? Do you think it's
Okay. I liked how this movie mixed like 2 forms of art that are very different from each other, like architecture that is fixed art, and the music that is the most ephemeral art. Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. I liked how this movie mixed 2 forms of art that are very different from each other. That is architecture that is fixed, the most fixed, and music that is the most ephemeral, because it comes and then go like instantly. And I think it's a metaphor for identity, and also these layers that are in the museum are a metaphor for it. And like it tries to say that identity is something like performance or improvisation. And this concept is very... But another thing that I noticed, and I don't know if it was intended, it's that all the atmosphere is kind of suspended. Atmosphere is suspended. Like these people are there. We know that they are there because it is staged, but it's kind of suspended. Like they are there and they are performing their own thing, a bit alienated from each other. Also, the band looks like all the girls, when they rehearse, they don't look at each other, I noticed, too much. They look at each other when they play, but not when they rehearse before. So I was wondering if the director tried to make a metaphor for the Dutch history. Abstract. Suspended in the sense of abstract, not in the sense of suspending. The separation, the fact that they don't look at each other, the fact that the poet is like on her own, reading to herself, in a sense. So that's why maybe it feels like they are rehearsing from themselves, not for us, except from the last part, that is the concert. And also by the fact that there is a large space, that we know the height, the width of the space, and these people are there doing their things, and we look at them, but we know that there is this large space with large stairs. Yes, thank you. But my question was about this, but was more about like the idea of post-colonialism. I found some kind of irony in the gaze of the director, in this suspension. Not against, like about.
I was thinking on a macroscopic level. I was thinking that there are some quite explicit resonances between the two movies we have seen, because they are both a collective work. They are both thinking about those layers of history, but also in a kind of way they are also very genre. So they are really into the gender roles, and in a certain way they also fit into a stereotype. Like the first movie was more a male movie with more male characters, a more male story about violence, and also the rhythm of the movie was like dynamic, even if there were some movement of camera that were very soft. Then the valeur du plan, the way the people was filmed was a bit not so close as the second movie. We were seeing the person, more the person than the skin of the person, and that fit into an idea of more male cinema. And the other one was more sensual and calm and sage, a bit. That fit a little bit more into an idea of female cinema. That was just like I do a pan arrière, un passo indietro, and I try to see it in a microscopic way. Okay. What does it mean, essentialize? Okay. Yeah, I understand.
Okay. Sorry if my English is bad, but okay.
Donc j'ai lancé l'enregistreur pour la scène du bureau.
L'appel chaque journée. Est-ce que tout le monde est prête? Alors, presque. Voilà, sur mon chrono. Je suis.
Attends. Du coup, on dit que tu viens pour une pause stérilée ou on dit on ne sait pas pourquoi tu viens? Si. C'est bon.
Est-ce que tu dirais pas j'ai ramené le stérilet?
Ouais, c'est ça quoi. Ouais, je veux dire ça. Toi, tu dis stérilet ou degli? Comme ça, je dis stérilet. Ok. Si tu veux juste degli, dis ce que tu veux. Oui, c'est bien. Est-ce que tout le monde est prête? Oui. Ouais. Bonjour. Vous venez pour votre pause de stérilet? Oui. Est-ce que vous avez ramené la boîte? Oui, je l'ai ramenée et j'aimerais bien qu'on regarde ensemble. On va regarder ça alors. Ce qu'il y a dedans. Elle est énorme, ça fait un peu peur. Tout va bien se passer. Vous avez déjà regardé? J'ai regardé un peu comme ça, mais ça m'a fait un peu peur. J'ai 3 spéculums, c'est juste parce qu'il y a des tailles différentes. Un rouge, un bleu, un vert. D'accord. On prendra le bleu. D'accord. Ok. Donc ça, ce sont les instruments de pause. Donc là, on a la pince de poésie, elle sert à maintenir le col. Ok. Ça, c'est la pince qui servira à sortir le stérilet. D'accord. Que vous avez déjà. Et ça, ce sera les ciseaux qui servent à couper les fils après la pause. Ok. Ça va? Ça va. Oui, le stérilet, c'est juste la petite partie en cuivre qui est ici. Et là, on a les branches qui vont servir à maintenir le stérilet dans la cavité utérine. D'accord. Et donc, c'est dans un tube inserteur. Et pour le placer, je vais vous montrer avec un stérilet en démo. Donc il va être comme ça. Donc là il est comme ça, pareil. Je vais tirer sur les fils. Donc là il est rentré dans le tube comme ici, d'accord? Exactement, ouais. Donc ça c'est un utérus en plastique. Et je vais passer tout à travers donc, le spéculum. Là ça c'est le col de l'utérus. Du coup je vais passer comme ça. Et quand je serai dans l'endroit, je le pousse. Et après, il va s'insérer dans l'utérus. Ok. J'enlève tout, et après, je couperai les fils à 2-3 cm du col. Et ça prend combien de temps? 2-3 minutes. Ok. Et ça fait pas mal. On verra. Normalement, ça fait pas hyper mal, mais ça peut provoquer comme des contractions. Comme l'espace de l'utérus, comme il y a de l'endoral un peu forte. Ouais. Ok. Ouais. D'accord. Il y a des questions? Ouais. Ça, vous avez dit que c'est le spéculum que vous allez utiliser? Oui. Pourquoi celui-là? Parce que c'est le plus petit des trois, et que vous n'avez pas encore eu un enfant, je pense que ça suffira en termes de dimension. Ok. Et sinon, en fait, ce que je voulais vous dire, c'est que de la pose de mon premier stérilet, j'ai eu super mal. C'est le médecin que je connaissais pas tellement qui me l'a posé. Et en fait, je crois qu'elle a utilisé cette pince, là, la pince de poésie. De poésie, c'est ça? Ouais, c'est ces pics-là qui servent à attraper l'utérus. Elle m'a pas trop prévenue, en fait, elle m'a dit ça va un peu pincer, et en fait j'ai fait un malaise vagal. Du coup, je suis un peu... Enfin voilà, j'ai un peu peur d'avoir mal, quoi. Du coup, si jamais vous devez l'utiliser, j'aimerais bien sûr que vous me préveniez, et puis surtout que... Enfin, qu'on voit ensemble si du coup c'est nécessaire de continuer ou s'il faut mieux pas que je revienne plus tard, quoi, pour ouais, voilà. Normalement, je l'utilise pas. D'accord. Et en fait, pourquoi il y a besoin de l'utiliser ou pas? Parce que parfois il y a des cols qui bougent, qui partent, et du coup ça permet de le maintenir. D'accord. Pour arriver à poser bien le stérilet. D'accord. Mais on peut faire sans. Ouais. D'accord. Et dans la plupart des cas, ça marche super bien sans. Ok. Bon, je crois que je suis prête. Vous êtes prête? Ouais. Et je vous laisse passer de l'autre côté. Ouais. installer? Oui, ça va. Je vais juste relever la tête. Ça va comme ça, du coup ça? Oui, c'est bon. On y va? Allez. Ok. Ça va, Marie? Oui. Coupé. Ça va, Marie? Oui. Je peux poser le spéculum? Oui. Donc ça va juste être un peu froid. Hein. Là, ça va? Ouais. Et je l'ouvre. Ouais. Soufflez. Ok, donc là je vois bien votre colle et les fils du stérilet qui sont bien en place. Hein. Super. Ok. Donc je vais enlever le premier stérilet. Ok. Avant de poser l'autre. D'accord. Ok. Coupé. On va le refaire. C'est possible ou pas? Je l'enlève? Si c'est possible, ce serait super. Parce que j'ai bougé. Ça va? Attends, souffle. Pose le pas. Il va être sale du coup. Enfin sale. Il va être un peu... Ça se voit. C'est bon? Ça se voit pas? Non. Bah, ça se voit sur la vue, non? Ouais, par contre, je vais... Attends. Je coule? Non, non, c'est bon. Non, c'est juste qu'elle était ouverte. Ah oui, d'accord. D'accord, s'il vous plaît. Je touche. Hein. Vas-y, vas-y. Ok. On refait pareil. Respire bien, Marie. Oui. Moteur. Ça va, Marie? Ça va. Je vais poser le spéculum. Oui. Je peux y aller? Oui. Ça va juste être froid, je mets un peu de gel dessus. D'accord. Ça va? Oui. Donc là, je vais l'ouvrir. Oui. Souffler. Ok, donc là, je vois bien votre colle et les fils du stérilet qui sont bien en place. Hein. Colle magnifique. Ok. Est-ce que tu peux dire le col, c'est le point noir qu'on voit? C'est pas un point noir. En fait, votre col, c'est une sorte de... comme une boule. Et vous voyez, il y a comme un petit trou où il y a des fils du stérilet qu'on va sortir. Vous êtes prête? Ça va. Donc je vais tirer sur les fils pour enlever le stérilet. D'accord. Ok. Là, vous pouvez juste sentir que je touche. Là, j'ai attrapé les fils. Je tire un peu dessus. Vous soufflez tout doucement. Voilà, c'est fini. Le stérilet est sorti. Tiens, vous pouvez le regarder. Vous voulez le garder? Oui. Oui, oui. Je vous mets dans une petite boîte. Oui. Félicitations. 7 ans. Ok, maintenant on va mettre le nouveau stérilet? Ouais. Vous le mettez tout de suite? Non. Coupé. Vous mettez un peu? Ça va? Ouais, ça va. Quand vous êtes prête, vous me dites. Hein. J'ai pas mis de pince, tout va bien. Ok. Ok. Alors vous allez sentir quand je vais l'introduire. D'accord. Et peut-être quand je vais le pousser, ça peut faire comme une petite décharge. D'accord. Ok. Ok. Vous allez y aller doucement de toute façon. Hyper doucement. D'accord. Ok. Ça marche? Allez, on y va. On y va? C'est bon. Je suis prête. Ok. Vous soufflez, tout se passe super bien. Là, peut-être que vous sentez un petit peu quelque chose. Ça va? Je peux y aller? Oui. Donc là, je me pousse dans l'utérus. Hein. Soufflez, 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 soufflez. Soufflez, posez les fesses. C'est fini. Hein. Ok. Super. Donc là, il est en place. Hein. C'est fini? Je coupe juste le fil. Et c'est bon. Non, soufflez. Ça va? Ouais. Les fils, ils sont comme ça. Je vais les toucher. J'enlève le spéculum. Ok. C'était un accouchement difficile. Hein. Allez, oui. Merci. Ça tourne pas?
Non, ça tourne pas.
Vous vous sentez toujours bien?
Oui, ça va. Je vous donne combien?
38,40 €. Donc là, dans les 24-48 heures qui viennent, vous pouvez avoir des pertes de sang, des contractions utérines, et n'hésitez pas à prendre des antalgiques.
D'accord.
Si jamais ça va vraiment pas, vous pouvez me passer un coup de fil. Je vous ai mis mon numéro sur la carte du stérilet.
D'accord.
On se revoit donc demain pour la visite de contrôle.
Ok.
So speaking about performance, here's a strong one. You all understood that it's the filmmaker who is it's obvious. I don't know.
I was talking with her just 1 minute ago, saying that the previous film was great, but it was, I think, too sweet, too calm, too non-aggressive, gentle, and I feel much more triggered now by this one. It's like I think the type of conversation it opens is very different. I mean, there's to talk about. I think there's a lot to talk about. For me, for example, I think this is it's something like that has it's like it's pinching you, you know, for a man at least, because these are things that you don't know, or if you know, you don't know like this. You just know a little bit, you know, and then there's like it's interesting. Still delicate, but more aggressive.
But at the same time, what enables the film is also very gentle, very sweet, and you know, of course, I mean, you're right. But at the same time, it's gentle, and it's this gentleness which is the origin of the film, because Marie met this girl who seemed to be so because she had bad experiences before. And she met this woman with whom she had a very good connection and who was very sweet and in a way she explained, and that's why she decided, okay, let's do it. Let's do this film. But yeah, of course it's more aggressive.
Yes, it's working. I think that was very generous. This was very generous from the director to the audience, and also I can't wait to see a male director do the same thing with a prosthetic exam, prostata exam. Can't wait, really. I don't know if it exists already, but
it's a good idea. Actually.
Yeah, maybe if you want to try directly.
Yes, I'm gonna. Soon. At my age, it's gonna come soon.
That's all. I was thinking about another thing. This shot with the spread legs reminds me the painting L'origine du monde, the origin of the world, and it's funny because there is a sterile put it inside, so nothing will come out from. It's funny. It's a funny reference.
I will tell Marie. Maybe she will. I will ask her if it was intentional, but it's great. Yeah, it's the anti-Courbet shot, anti-Courbet shot, the reverse shot, same shot and reverse shot of Courbet. In the beginning, if you saw, there is this Botticelli book on the shelf behind the first shot. When she sits in the chair, you have a book about Botticelli which is on a shelf behind. Courbet being the opposite of Botticelli in a way too. There's something about painting, of course.
Ora sì. I've got a more industrial question. A bit of a party pooper, but so the way that the film form plays around this dialogue with the audience, the spectators. So what you can do once or even twice by cutting or just turning the camera and kind of reminds me of what was said during the introduction about your role as an artistic director in the way you have to establish a dialogue with filmmakers, with authors, directors. And I was wondering, maybe part of this process belongs to the length and duration of the films? Because I'm thinking this unicity of this film belongs to its length. It's short, 15 minutes, it's unique. If I'm thinking about a film that to me kind of speaks, at least in terms of the topic, the same language, L'événement, de Audrey Diwan, that was very well received. It did well in festivals and César and distribution, but it doesn't have the same unicity. It's not as bold as this. So I'm thinking when you look for these kind of films that challenge the language, the film language, do you look into length? Do you, I don't want to say prefer, but do you look more into short forms rather than full length forms because they can be more unique? Or it's just a case that you found this film, it was beautiful and whatever?
That's a good question because, of course, short forms are the most common place for experimentation and taking risks because it's cheaper, because it doesn't aim at theatrical distribution, so it's a free space for inventing. And so, of course, the boldest films usually, but it's not a rule, of course. But And because short forms are also very often, for us, student forms, films made by very young filmmakers who, I mean, it's not because you're young that you're bold, it's bullshit. But still, So it's true that the short form, and that's why we created this competition and field, because before we didn't have this short forms competition. And so we every year we saw so many great short films which we couldn't show. We didn't have space to show, and didn't have space to expose them in a competition, to expose them to professionals. So it's only 4 years ago that we have this short film competition, and it's for that reason, because we were frustrated not being able to show more of this kind of films. But it would be sad if longer films and feature-length films wouldn't be able to be to be bold too. But usually, of course, it's more. So, not to answer your question, we pay great attention to short forms because, yes, that's where you find boldness and this kind of direct and very pure form in its purest form, because it's the short duration enables that, of course. But we hope we can find that too in feature films. And I don't know, we should Laf Diaz films which can last 10 hours. They can be super bold too, super radical. So we don't. So we look at we look at films of any length, knowing that we have more difficult choices to make among short forms because we find more bold short films, for sure.
Very short.
Like 2-3 minutes.
It's similar to what I would think of experimental cinema to be. Also, I've seen like Letna was in the team that developed All Abominable also. So I was thinking about this kind of cinema when I was also because it's shot in 16 and 8. So do you also have like a place for experimental cinema I remember like Prisme, the festival on Nantes, Mir, they do like Prisme. I don't know if you know this festival. Prisme is like all short 3 minutes to 1 to 10 minutes films, and I was wondering if you also have like something. Yeah, of course, yeah. In the middle. I don't know. It still has to hold like something.
And it's not something we are looking for. But if we fall on a gem, an amazing experimental film, we're gonna. You know Caven de la Cruz, this Filipino filmmaker, no, who makes crazy experimental films. We play with Jean, but maybe this year we'll select a film by Caven, which is a feature experimental film.
Okay.
But it's really it's a bit on the side of what we do. It's not excluded, but it's a bit.
Can you repeat his name?
Caven de la Cruz. He makes 10 films a year. And you've seen that the film was shot with 2 cameras, one 8mm and one 16. Do you have an idea? I mean, Marie Beautois, she gives one explanation, which has to do with the process of the filmmaking. Why 2 cameras? The idea is not why.
Not why. or
8 and 16, but it's
Yeah.
another question. But why 2 cameras? But if you have an idea about what,
I was
why
thinking
8
about
and
the
16?
sound, because with the 8 you cannot synchronize well the dialogues, because the rhythm of the film is not perfectly the same. So if you try to synchronize the sound on the 8, you could miss something. Could be interesting, but it depends on the effect, what you want. So I was thinking about that, maybe the sound. So maybe when she films the faces and the dialogue, maybe she used the 16, but I understand it later.
I think it's
That
a good. I think it's good. It's a good reason. It's obvious when you see the film because she uses, especially in the beginning of the film, she uses 8mm shots to desynchronize, to create a sensation of desynchronization. You know, like this blurry, like almost slow motion. You know, which is weird. Which is you say, why? You know, which is like a temporal distance in a way, also. You know. And maybe it has to do with this connection with experimental film also, you know, this grainy and a bit blurry quality of image. So that's one thing, yeah. And of course, synchronicity is at the core of this film. You know, the experience of the film is the experience of synchronicity, of real time. It's a film about real time. Another idea, why 2 cameras? Has to do with real time too, actually. Yes, I think the choice of 16 is, of course, they want to have a security of having the whole experience shot in, you know, in one shot. But at the same time, the choice of 2 cameras is contradicts what you said, because what Marie Beautois says is she needed 2 cameras because she didn't want to separate the face and the vulva, I would say. I mean, she didn't want, because it would have been very easy to make close-ups of her breathing and, you know, like redoing the close-ups, and she did it. It's absolutely out of the question. I want the close-ups on my face to be real and to be in real time with what's happening below, you know. And for that, she needed 2 cameras. She didn't want to fake the close-ups and the reactions. It's this idea of capturing the, you know, and of course to have a, and the film is beautiful. The variety of échelle de plan. I don't know how you say échelle de plan in English. The face, half body, full body. Ouais.
Just to add a comment on the grainy and the use of 16mm film and Super 8, I really appreciate, in a lot of films we see today, it's used as a kind of romantic, we use analogic film, and here I like that it really served the film, because in this way it doesn't have a medical, because if you use high definition cameras it just becomes super clinical and medical, and she makes the medical, as you said, with the cuts and through other means, but that through this grainy, it gives it feels like a safe space. It's really soothing and really gentle through this type of image, and that the image really serves kind of like it creates kind of a bubble for her, and And even when you look at the medical instruments, if it had been filmed with a very high definition camera, you would have seen like the really sharp tools and really pointy, and there everything is softened. So I really like that really had a purpose.
Very, very interesting comment, which I will share with the Marie too, because totally agree. It so fits with all the beginning of the film, the fear of pain, the fear of the idea that does it hurt or not, and and the safe space, the safe bubble, the gentleness of this woman, which again is the origin of the film, is embodied in the image, in this grainy and soft image, absolutely. But I totally agree that now 10 years ago, Letna, the lab which produced and processed the film, was like they were the last of the Mohicans, to work in film and to develop film in Paris, for example. When you made and I remember when I was teaching in Geneva, we had to send every day we had an analog workshop, and we had to send the rushes to Germany to develop them. It was expensive because it was disappearing. And now it's come back again. Now at FID we see so many films shot in 16, and it's become very common again, which is great. Which is great because not because it's great that one technique doesn't replace the previous one, but that you can. But at the same time, there is this tendency to use analogic and 16 and Super 8 in a nostalgic way, decorative way, in a way. This tendency. And here she found a very real necessity for it, which is what you said, but which also has to do with the very idea of the urgency of the idea that you can't do it again. Again, the experience is there is a tension. There is a balance between the tension of the experience and the tension of the filmmaking, because it's made on film too. And if it was made on digital, the idea that you can shoot for hours, for days, you don't care. Here you have this, this rareness of the film stock is this, which is a cliche, but it's true. I think it fits with the subject of the film, the experience of the act, and all this cut is not just pressed on a button. It's really the film which stops, in the camera. Okay, maybe we can have a lunch break. See you after lunch. After lunch. A violent one or a gentle one, I don't know. Maybe I'll start with a gentle one. It's a French film shot in Marseille by a quite young artist who's called Dania Raymond Bouguenou. She works in visual arts, but she makes almost only films. It was a commission from a festival in Marseille and La Ville de Marseille to make a film about une cité, a house project in Marseille, in the quartier nord of Marseille, these very tough and violent places. The idea of because Dania Raymond Bouguenou, she is herself the daughter. Her mother is Algerian and her father is French, and her mother came in Marseille in 1962 after the independence of Algeria, and the neighborhood where she shot the film, about which the film is, was built in these years to host the immense coming of people from Algeria after the independence of the country. But then, working on the film, she discovered that there was more to tell about this place than this moment of of the 60s. And she made this film. I don't want to say much more about it. It's I don't know. It's It's a good example of a totally documentary approach in the beginning, and how in the process of making it, the film became larger and using more tools than the simple tools of documentation. We'll see. It's called Constellation de la Rouguière. La Rouguière is the name of the place. Constellation, constellation.